Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am very excited to have as my guest, Rick Koenig. And let me tell you a little bit about him. Rick is a person whose life journey has been filled with diverse experiences, challenges, and personal growth. Rick embarked on a remarkable journey at an early age of 4 when he began his martial arts training. Growing up in New Jersey, Rick had a unique upbringing as their father owned pizzerias where they actively participated in running and working. In later years, Rick transitioned into the world of security, working at nightclubs in both Philadelphia and New Jersey. Life took a challenging turn as Rick found himself entangled in mob connections, leading him down a troubled path that ultimately resulted in imprisonment alongside his father in the maximum state security prison of the Department of Corrections in New Jersey. Life continued to test Rick's resilience after his release. Sit back and let's take a ride as Rick shares his backstory. Today, I thought our theme would be resilience, personal growth, and a pursuit of a better life. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Rick Koenig. Hi, Rick.
Hey, how are you, Vicki?
I am well. Well, before we get into the meaty stuff, the juicy stuff, let everybody know, where do you live now? Where do you call home?
Branson, Missouri. Been out here now for 14 years, and it was rough. Yeah, the transition was tough from being a city boy to being out here in the sticks. I call it the sticks. Where I'm at in Branson, they call it the city. And it was rough. I mean, it took me a long time to adjust to it. And we were looking at a couple of years. But when I learned to embrace it, consider it home, I made it a home. So I love it here. I have no desire to go back to the Northeast. And honestly, with the millions I'm going to make, I'm comfortably fine being here.
Yes,
I really am.
Exactly right. I remember, 14 years ago, that's really when Branson was starting to just become a place, for a while there, Branson where, but we had some country music people took hold of it and made it a really the place that it is.
A lot of stars. Johnny Cash was out here. Mel Tillis.
Yeah.
I mean, Heath Hall was out here. The Beverly Hillbillies shot an episode out here. So, Branson was never on the map. I never heard of it until my brother came out here to become an entertainer. And like I said, it was I never thought I'd move here.
Yeah, there you go. So never say
14
never.
years ago.
Never say never. Yeah.
That's right.
All right. So I gave a real short introduction as to your journey that you've had, but it is a very interesting one. And I think it's important for our theme today that people understand just, what you've went through, what your backstory is. So please go ahead and take some time and share that with the audience.
Well, again, I mean, this could turn into a whole episode of movie. So bring out the popcorn. But, at an age of 4, my folks enrolled me in my very first class of martial arts. It was June 27th, 1972. That's when I turned the age of 4. And I was just a very aggressive kid. I had a lot of anger issues, and they wanted to contain it. My father worked a lot having pizzerias, and mom really didn't know what to do. So I guess somebody suggested martial arts, and you had to be at the age of 4. So on my 4th birthday, she enrolled me in my very first class. And, that's when I started my journey. And really, that's really the time I can look back and really start remembering, because obviously I was 4. I'm 55 now. That was a long time ago. And that took me on my path. I mean, that helped me out a lot. It really did. If it wasn't for martial arts, I would probably be dead or still in prison if it wasn't for martial arts. Because like I said, it really helped out a lot. It didn't help out enough. But at the same point in time, I was that kid. I was that troubled child. And I mean, I probably still am. But I know how to contain it. I do know how to control it, and I stay in my lane. So, yeah, like I said, I can start from the age of 4 on up. I mean, it's, being involved with alcohol, drugs, selling drugs. Now, you did mention about the mob connections. I mean, I knew the mob. You know what I mean? I was not connected. You know what I mean? I had connections, but never connected. And that was just because my father had pizzerias, and he had them in the 60s through the 70s. And, that's who you bought your products from. That was it. You either did or you paid the consequences. And, my father was a very smart man, and he did play by the rules to a certain extent in a certain point in time. But at the same point in time, he was a stand-up man. He was a stand-up man. He was born in the Depressions in the 30s, raised in Flatbush, New York by nuns. He was in an orphanage. So he was a great man. We just made some bad decisions.
Yeah. And that's all it takes is one to change your life in an instant. An instant.
Absolutely.
So, my grandsons are both in martial arts now and started at age 4 for them. So my youngest is just turning 4, just starting. And
that's awesome.
Growing up in Pittsburgh, some people were doing martial arts, but I'm 66, so maybe it wasn't as big. It wasn't as big then. But
you look great.
Thank you. That's my anti-aging business, works great. But anyway, so what I was so impressed with, as I went to some of the classes to watch them and pick them up and things, was the respect that they teach. It isn't just punching and kicking, which originally was my impression of martial arts. You did it for self-defense or whatnot, but they really teach discipline, and they teach all the things that build character, and it truly impressed me.
Oh, no doubt. For an example, things have changed a lot over the decades, and we're going back to 1972. My instructor literally broke my nose my very first class, and I fell in love with it. That's like, this is for me. My next class coming back, the guy looked at me in a Suffolk accent. He's like, "Kid, you're back again. You're going to be a trouble child, man." He's like, "You're going to be my problem one." And I was probably, but he definitely laid the law down. And back then there was a little more of aggressiveness. I mean, there was more full contact. You got out of line, you got cracked. And so I got cracked a lot. And but at the same point in time, I needed it.
Yeah. I mean,
I needed it. And through the years, it definitely helped me out with the discipline, in the structure, in the accountability, and everything that really I believe all children should do. If it's not in the forms of martial arts, it should be taught to them in one way, shape, or form. Because without structure, you have nothing.
Yeah.
You really don't.
So you went from martial arts to in the 80s now. So you're, I guess, teenager.
Yeah. I graduated in 1986.
Yeah. 10 years after me.
There you go.
That's hilarious.
It's crazy.
So you got into pro fighting. So you must have liked that knock on the nose because now you're doing it professionally.
I did. And, back then, mixed martial arts wasn't very popular at all.
Yeah.
If you wanted to learn a certain discipline, that's the school you would have to go to. Yeah. So if you wanted to learn traditional martial arts, karate, so on and so forth, you went to a karate school. If you wanted to learn boxing, you went to a boxing school. if you wanted to learn at that time, there wasn't really a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So for the ground, you went to a wrestling school.
Yeah.
And then, these Brazilians came out here in the early 80s, but really didn't explode until the early 90s. That's when the whole game changed.
Yeah.
It really did. And that's when I fell in love with Brazilian jiu-jitsu as well. So I really got into the full aspect of the mixed martial arts. And back then you didn't get paid.
Yeah.
I mean, it was basically you were paying with pride.
Mm-hmm.
You were going in there to show people, that, yeah, I am a little crazy. I mean, it was considered crazy. It wasn't mainstream.
Yeah.
You had Senator McCain out there lobbying against it. I mean, it wasn't legal in a lot of states for the longest time. And New Jersey was one of the very first states to pick it up due to the fact that Donald Trump was for it. He had the casinos in Atlantic City. And that's when a lot of the guys started to migrate to the tri-state area.
Right.
So I was exposed to a lot of great instructors, a lot of great people, which at that point in time, I didn't even have a clue. And then in 1993, when Royce Gracie won the very first UFC, that's when it kind of got out of the bag. Like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, this is an art to be reckoned with. And to this day, it's still not really as popular as people believe. Right. Still, people think it's karate, and there's no punching or kicking at all. It's submissions, grappling, chokeholds, and joint manipulations. So I really embraced that, and that took me further into life. But I trained a lot of law enforcement involved with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because at that time, they didn't have to use their stun gun or their nightstick or their gun. They could actually subdue them in a technique, which now they're actually outlawing as well. So I feel bad for a lot of these law enforcement guys out there because of Big Brother's constantly recording them. They really can't do their job, and they're getting ridiculed out of hundreds of thousands of police officers. Again, one bad incident is just going to set the pace for the rest of them, which I feel as though is sad, but it's today's society.
Yeah, I have a niece who followed her father's footsteps and is in the police force, and it's always scary because things escalate quickly. It's
very scary for them, and again, they're walking on eggshells when everybody else feels as though they have the upper hand. So it's sad to see happen, but I mean, there's not much I can do. Yeah, I still train them. But I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I still train them because of, they come in here with the initial aspect of coming in here and learning this to use on the job. And then they fall in love with it. Yeah. And it turns into a way of life for them because it's a group environment. It becomes a family. Just like CrossFit. You see a lot of these people out here doing the CrossFit phase. I mean, that's blown up over the last decade. So did Jiu-Jitsu. Just I'm in a very tough area to make a living at it for the simple fact of it's entertainment, and this is a tourist town.
Yeah, right. So I think too, if you think about some of the issues that people have, it stems from anger management. And I would think that the discipline that you get from doing the various martial arts would be definitely an aid to maybe controlling the anger that you have, and maybe things would not escalate as much.
Sure. Well, just the confidence alone of knowing what you can do to letting it happen is definitely an eye-opener. A lot of people will learn certain martial arts for the wrong reasons. And that's to go out to do harm. And then others go in there because of obviously, I'd rather walk away to fight another day, or depending on the situation, because I know what I'm capable of. Right. It doesn't matter what they're saying. And in all honesty, I don't put myself in those situations. Right. When I was doing security, yes, I was in those situations on a daily, nightly basis. But now I don't go to bars. I stay in my lane. I live in my gym, basically. It's just, it's a way of life for me. And what I teach is a self-mastery system. So it's not just weight training and martial arts and things of that nature. It's a way of life.
Right.
You know, I want them accountable on a daily basis with me, because when they're here, I'm accountable for them for an hour to 2 hours. But what are you doing with your additional time? What are you doing to fill in those time slots? You know, I want them to be the best version of themselves. So again, I'm tough. I'm tough on my guys. I do a roll call every morning on my cell phone where I put out, roll call. I'm up, and I get up around 2:30 in the morning every morning. I've been doing it for a very long time, and people aren't checking in right away with me, but I want to know when they wake up. When they're not here, are they sleeping in on the weekends? Why? Do you have depression issues? What's going on in your life? Do you have a drinking issue? Do you have a drug problem? Is it a relationship issue? What's going on in your life that we can fix?
Yeah. And the interesting thing, is that, some people may think, well, personal growth is just related to mindset and training and books, learning stuff. But really, as you work on developing your body, you really do have to, you improve your mindset. If you're going to be successful, you really have to.
No doubt. 100%. I mean, when you see somebody walk in the room when they're fit and they're not. When I was doing sales and I was running different departments, people that would come in, if they were physically fit, I knew they were committed to something. I knew they were committed to doing good to their body. Why trash the gift that we have, that God created, and trash that? I mean, that's not what we were created to be. And everybody has time to do it. Again, people say, well, why do you get up at 2:30 or 2:00 in the morning? It's not what I'm getting out. It's what I'm getting rid of. I'm getting rid of those negative thoughts. I'm getting rid of certain, aspects that I have my own time that I can do my daily reflections, my push-ups, my prayer, my journaling. There's a lot of things that I accomplish in that time, and then my doors are open and my day's beginning.
Yeah, and it is that quiet time. The noise of the world has not started, and so you definitely can get a lot accomplished, I would think.
I don't know how people don't get up at that time. I really, because it's like from literally, I would say 2:30 on, I'm occupied. I'm doing things. I'm creating content. I'm putting out posts. I'm into my daily non-negotiable task. And when I complete my list, I add another one onto it. And that's another one for the list tomorrow. And you just keep adding and adding and adding until you really don't have much more time. But literally, there's times that I won't go to bed until 10, 11 o'clock at night, just because I'm dealing with clients across the country, because I am an online business. I do have a facility here in Branson, but I do train people across the country, in the world. I mean, I have guys in Brazil that I train. I have guys I have people in Canada that I train. So a lot of times with the time difference, I do have to stay up later to accommodate their needs and their calls. But still, if it's 10, 11, 12 midnight, I'm still up at 2:30. That's what my clock's set for. Now, I do wake up at 2:00 a lot of times, and I'm like, well, I go back to bed.
Yeah, I know.
That's going to happen. You're going to go back to bed, and that next half an hour is going to be the best rest, and you're not going to want to get out of bed. And again, to me, that's one of the highest forms of gratitude that you can give God. It's getting out of a warm, comfortable bed on a cold night. And you're getting your day started in a positive direction.
Right. So in your story, there's a piece of it about your son Dave. So I wanted you to just touch on that.
Yeah, my son Dave, he's still with me. He's with us right here. I mean, let me tell you something. The kid was larger than life. 6'6", 257 pounds. I mean, head to toe, there wasn't a weak body part on him. He was very symmetrical, very bright, but he fell into drugs. And that's something, even though as a parent, whomever, a grandparent, you can do the best you can with your kid. But if they veer off in the wrong direction and you don't see it happening, it can happen. And that was something that we struggled with for 10 to 15 years, you know, and it progressively got worse. And I told him, I said, listen, kid, I said, you know, it's going to wind up one or two ways. You're going to wind up in prison for the rest of your life, or you're going to die, you know, and he did pass away. He went missing for 2 years here in Branson. And with training law enforcement and things of that nature, obviously I had the inside connections on things, and, you know, drugs are everywhere. And Branson is filled with it as well. And you get these people that are on these drugs today, such as meth and fentanyl and things that really make them crazy. They come up with crazy stories. They come up with crazy conspiracy theories. And I was exposed to all of that for 2 years, listening to every one of those stories. And I knew something happened to my son because of, he was my best friend. You know, he was raised on the mats. I would always tell him, listen, if you're going to go out there and do things that are wrong, I don't want to be involved. Now, don't get me wrong. If something happens and you need my help, you call me right away. But the fact of the matter is that you need to get yourself better. You need to want it, not me. You need to be the one. And he battled with it for years. I knew he hated it. I would see it. I'd see it in his eyes. And, you know, drugs is a very selfish substance, you know, because you're thinking of you. Well, how about the other people? Like, you know, the unknown with him being gone. There was, I mean, before he even went missing for the 2 years, there was numerous incidents where he would be gone for a week to 2 weeks, maybe 3, but he would come back home. But even then, the unknown is killing you as a parent. You know, wondering what's going on with your kid. Is he coming back? Isn't he coming back? Why hasn't he called? And when this happened, it happened when COVID hit. And when I didn't get a phone call within 3 weeks, I knew something happened to him. And I'm just thinking to myself, worst case scenario, if he got into something or any trouble, this would have been a perfect time for something bad to happen because people weren't active. Things were shutting down. You know, cops were scared to pull people over due to the fact of being exposed to COVID themselves. So this is when all the conspiracy theories came out. And ultimately, when they found his remains 2 years after he went missing, they basically ruled out any foul play. Even though it was the remains, they could see if there was something that happened to his remains. And we actually look at it, he probably overdosed. He probably overdosed. And you know, I really try to change the kids that are out here, because it's not them that I hate. It's the drugs that they take that I hate. And that's what it comes down to. And eventually I know they don't enjoy it. You can see it. How can you enjoy that? So my whole thing is just drop all the vices. You know, I try to keep on telling people, you know, when I think of my son, do I have moments of being sad? I put out a post today on Facebook and tears are coming out of my eyes as I'm writing this post, because I'm writing the post. But I feel as though it's my obligation to share with the world as well, that they're not the only ones that are going through this. There are people out there like myself that don't mind sharing my story if it's going to help somebody else get through it. Because that's basically what my whole business is about, is helping people. And hopefully they can resonate, or hopefully I can say a few words to help them get through it, because it's tough. It's tough. And I think if it wasn't for the simple fact that I was preparing myself over the years, just because of seeing it, you know, I think it would be a heavier blow. And there was always that little piece of hope, just saying, you know, maybe he's somewhere, you know, maybe something, like he is still alive, even though I was 97% sure he passed. I pretty much had my mind just waiting for the phone call, which we received. But there's always that ray of hope out there. And again, like I said, not only was he my best friend, he was my student. He was my firstborn. I mean, it tore our family apart. It really did. I mean, my other 2 children, Daniel's my middle, Madison's my youngest. It devastated them. And it really did. I mean, he was he was a very unique, special individual, and everybody that was in contact with him loved him.
Yeah.
They did. So he was larger than life. And, you hear me keep on going back to God, but God had bigger plans for him. Yeah. My opinion, he outgrew this world.
Mm-hmm.
He did. So he's still with us, but just not in the physical form.
Yeah. Always. You have an angel now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Need all the help I can get.
So time's flying by here, but you have your gym in Branson, as you said, and most of it is online. You've got some great short videos, longer videos out there on YouTube.
I do. Yeah.
How often do you post out there today for the audience?
Well, I go through a coach as well, because I even believe coaches need coaches.
Yeah.
And my coach keeps me accountable as well. I mean, he's probably one of the toughest ones out there. And without him, I don't know. I mean, he's talked me off the ledge a few times. And he really did, just because he's such an inspiring individual.
Awesome.
So it's mandatory that I put out at least 2 YouTube videos. Okay. But when it comes down to social media, my plate is full.
Yeah.
People are probably just like, another video. And I argue with them. And then I said, I feel as though it's too much. He goes, are you making close to $3 million a month? Are you sitting in my chair right now? Are you living in my mansion? Because if not, you just need to do what I'm telling you to do if you want to, and succeed or fail.
Yeah.
So he keeps me accountable. And again, like I said, it was a blessing.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
It is a blessing. And everybody needs somebody.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And
everybody.
And there's a lot of us out there. So find the person that you resonate with, find your Joe or whoever it is that's going to help you.
I tell people that all the time. I said, back when we were growing up, Vicki, we didn't have the internet. There was no YouTube. And nowadays, it's at the touch of your fingers. Yeah. You can find somebody, instead of traveling across the country and doing a Tony Robbins $1 million seminar, that on your phone, you can find somebody out of the hundreds of thousands of inspirational speakers and life coaches, that find one that you do resonate with, because of, some people think I'm too intense. I'm extreme, and I am. Some people I would just think like, you're just too much. My intensity drives them away, but it's what keeps me going. Exactly. It does. You know what I mean? I thrive on it. Mm-hmm. But, some people need other approaches. They need softer approaches. Mm-hmm. I teach with compression, but I do it compassionately, So it's people just don't know how to take me sometimes. It takes a while. It takes a while, because I expect everybody to be the best individual they can be, because I know they have that ability. And when I see them slacking on any aspects of their life, I'm on them like white on rice. I tell them, I said, watch what you wish for. Because if you tell me that these are the things that you want to be accountable for, I'm going to make sure that you're going to be accountable for them. Yeah. I mean, I go knock on doors, you up, you know what I mean? To a certain extent. When I feel as though that this individual doesn't want to give me 100%, well, then that's when I stop giving 150. Mm-hmm. I tell them, I'll still give you 95%, 90%, 80%. But at the same point in time, you're not looking for 100%. Right. You're not willing to give me 100%. Why should I give you 100%?
Yeah. Well, and you're being honest with them and authentic, and that's what you want to teach them to do for others as well. So it's perfect.
Absolutely. Honesty is a must.
Yeah. And I think too, because of your history, and when you tell them like it is, it's not like, we used to think of our teachers, you don't know, you're just doing this because you read this. You lived this, you failed, you got up again and again and again. And that resilience just made you into the person that you are today. And from what I hear, you continually are evolving and doing that personal growth to be ready for what's
next. And you have to. Yeah. You have to. You cannot get complacent. You cannot get comfortable. There's no days off for me, and they said, even God said, rest one day. I said, hey, listen, I can't. You know, I have a daily regimen that I have to follow every day because it works. You know, if I fall off, people say to me, you know, can you have a drink? I was an alcoholic. Yeah, I can, but I'm going to wind up drinking. You know, I had one guy keep on pushing. He goes, well, you're a recovering alcoholic. I said, well, I can take that. He goes, come on, so can't we just have one? I said, you know what? I'll make you a deal. I will have one with you as long as you stay with me until I'm done with my last one. He goes, well, what do you mean by that? I said, because when I start drinking, I won't stop. And I said, I'll stop until I drop. So if it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, you better still be by my side. Because I got a job. I got a family I got to take care of. I said, so don't ever ask me to drink with you again.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Bottom line.
Yeah. Know who you are and live by it. That's awesome.
That's right. Well,
it's, you know, it's, we, like you said in the beginning, we could probably talk for hours on different things. My last question, my rapid question is just, what's next? What do you got planned?
Oh
you got
man,
another
it's
book in
sky's
you?
the limit.
I saw something about a movie. Are you gonna do your movie?
We're gonna start off with a book.
Okay.
You know, I have a producer who wants to do a movie. I want to start off with a book, but yeah, it's just continuing my self-mastery process myself. That's it, you know, and then spreading what works for me.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's what I'm doing over a lifetime of trials and tribulations. I'm just showing people what has worked for me. You know, I don't have a degree. I'm not, you know, a psychologist. I said, but I've been through enough and seen enough that I probably have a good solution that we can come up with. Yeah. So again, it's I think a lot of that being the street smarts is more because especially with these younger kids, they don't want to get in front of Mr. Rogers and listen to him speak when he hasn't gone through what they went through.
Yeah.
I've been through the mud, you know, so I know what these guys are going through. I know what these kids are going through. I can resonate with them. They look at me. I mean, I'm tatted head to toe. I'm blasted. And it's just, again, when I'm committed, I'm committed. So it wasn't just getting one tattoo. I wanted to make sure everything was covered. And I said, well, that shows you my commitment. You know,
that's right. Yeah.
Physically, you can see it on my body. You can see when I do something, I do it to its fullest.
Yeah.
I take it to a whole nother level. So to answer that question, I know it's more than 30 seconds, but it's just more. I would be comfortable of doing what I'm doing right now because I do have a self-mastery system. But again, I want to build it to another level where I can touch thousands of people opposed to hundreds.
Yeah, so good. All right. Well, it's time now for me to share my slide that has the contact information. So if you have been listening and not taking notes, sorry about that, but go grab that paper and pencil right now so you can get down the website information. If you're watching, you can go ahead and get a screenshot. All the information, as I remind everyone every time, is on my YouTube channel, my show notes, as well as the findyourleadershipconfidence.com. So for those that are listening, the website is strength-certified.com. Take note that that is certified is with an S. So strength-certified with an S.com. On Facebook, you can find it by his name, rick.koenig.7. And then Instagram, rick.koenig. And YouTube at Strength Certified. TikTok at Strength Certified. And I'm going to turn it over to Rick to talk to you about what you can find when you go to his website or those social media channels. Rick?
Yeah. Hey, folks, I have numerous programs out there for you. Again, I have a low end, I have a medium, and I have a high end ticket. All depending on your needs and your pocketbook, I can definitely find a program that works for you. And again, it's a system. Bottom line, it's a self-mastery system where I'm making you the best version of yourself in all areas of your life. So I when people say I'm a fitness coach, no, I'm not a fitness coach. No, I'm not a martial artist. Yes, I've been doing martial arts and I do train people in fitness, but this is a self-mastery course. So if you're looking to be the best version of yourself, look me up on any of those social media platforms. Or again, my phone number is 417-593-7058. Text me. I'll get back to you immediately, and I'll answer any questions that you have. It's no obligation whatsoever. So what do you have to lose?
That's awesome. Well, Rick, it's been great chatting with you. I enjoyed all of your story, your information, and you're right on. Got a great outlook, and I wish you the best in 2024 for sure.
Likewise, Vicki.
And as always, I remind everyone that life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.